And we are live.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to Connect 2021 with NS Design. This is our last live Zoom session. We have a wonderful group of NS Omni basses with our short scale upright bass. And I'll let you just introduce yourselves, tell us who you play with, and what's exciting for you this week. Yorgis, you're up.
Can you hear me right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
It's nice to see everybody. Happy New Year, first of all. I hope you all guys are doing well. Well, winter time is not easy, but I'm trying, like everybody. What can I say? My name is Yorgis. I'm born in Cuba, and I moved to the U.S. the last 15 years. And I feel proud to be part of your team for the last 10 years, playing the Omni bass, and magnificent people. The crew is incredible. I don't have no more to say that. Thank you, and I'm here always for you.
Thank you, Yorgis.
Thank you very much.
Jake, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name's Jake Moore. I play with the Moore brothers. And this year it's been, I guess with COVID, everybody knows it's been a kind of a woodshedding preparation time, I think, for everybody. But I'm just looking forward to a bunch of new music coming out with the Moore brothers, working with and producing with. And then also just putting together a big stage show for the fall. So it's all rolling. Thank you for having me, and it's good to see everybody.
Awesome. Sure thing, Jake. Chance.
Hi. How's the sound coming through, guys?
Good.
Good. Awesome. Well, I'm Chance Wilder Onody. Thank you again for having me back for the Omni Bass Roundtable. I absolutely love the NS Design instruments. I'm a solo artist and session artist here in Los Angeles. I've been a music session player for about 16 years now, and recently, the past 5 years, film composer. And I've really been enjoying that. I've been very lucky that during this time, I was able to keep working with music, mainly on the composition side. So it's been awesome. I just love being a part of the NS family.
Thank you. Donald.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me good?
Yes, from the far north.
I know it's super cold over here as always, even in the summer. Yes, my name's Donald Waugh. I am a bass player, musician, and like my friend here, recently been scoring for film as well. Currently doing a documentary film with a fellow in the UK. This whole lockdown thing has brought out a lot of creative ideas. I'm really happy to at least be home for the first time for an entire year. It's amazing. You know, actually get to spend time with my daughter. You probably saw her. She just left the room. And of course, with the lovely Sabrina, Corey know her, the wife. And yeah, it's been great so far for us. We're healthy, we're alive, and it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Chris.
Hello. Check 1, 2. We doing good?
Sounds great.
Great. Chris Wyse here. I play bass in the Hollywood Vampires. The tour, of course, got canceled, so looking forward to summer touring. One of the things I love about the NS is, like, I was walking around New York City one day with a borrowed NS as a kind of new instrument to try. And I was in awe that I was walking around New York City with something over my shoulder so easily, you know. And I'm a new Omni fan, so that's my brand new Omni, and I really love it. I'm working on a solo record this year as a result. It's very theatrical, and I have a comic book kind of intertwined with it with an artist, which is really exciting. So making lemonade out of, you know, the lemons and making good on it. Thanks for having me here.
Terrific.
Thank you, Chris. Danielle, all the way from Spain.
Hello, hi, hello guys. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. My name is Daniel Escortell. I am from the south of Spain. I live in Sevilla, but I'm now in Cádiz in a studio, and I am kind of a hired gun musician here in Spain. But I'm very lucky to play with people I like the music they make. So I'm very proud. I'm very lucky of it. But I'm not involved in a personal project called Derby Motoreta Burrito Cachimba, which is a psychedelic Andalusian rock band, and we were having success before the lockdown in Spain. We were almost in the band for a 15 days tour, and then we received a call, hey guys, the tour is canceled, so we get back home till May. But we are still a lucky band because we could keep recording, and we are going to release a new album in March. We are involved in also a soundtrack for a film. So despite of this situation, sorry for my English, we are very lucky artists here in Spain. And thanks for inviting me. I really love using this instrument with all my projects and with all the artists I play with, because they always feel curious about this. They don't know what is this, but they all love it when I start playing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daniel. And welcome, everybody. We've got Ned Steinberger, the company founder, here as well. And maybe let's just start with what do y'all have as a big success for you this year, and maybe something that was something that was very difficult for you this year?
Anyone can start?
Yeah, jump in. It's all you guys.
Okay. When it comes to I'll start with the successes. As I told you, I've been working with people from overseas on different projects, like the film project, and a couple doing some recordings with different people, their albums and things. But to be honest, I don't think I have any failures, because I've been spending so much time with the family, and that's been awesome. I've been doing that for so long. So I honestly wouldn't, I don't know. It would be a failure, to be honest, because as my friend said, he took his lemon and turned it into lemonade. So I've been doing that, and the lemonade's been pretty good.
That's great. I could jump in then. Thank you for the lemonade. Nice to see you, Donald. Yeah, at the end of the day, for me, we all got thrown off. You know, I was very excited about my tour, preparing, so on, for my new year, like all of us. But I reached out to an artist I saw on Netflix called Russell Marks, and told him about my concept of a music comic. And that took me off on a new creative outlet, which was like kind of a lifesaver, because I didn't know what to do. And now I'm so happy with it. It's like, it's pretty much halfway there, you know, and it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the time. So that's kind of one of these great, you know, like I wouldn't have done this, and now I'm psyched on it. So chriswyse.com, if you guys want to check it out, it's pretty cool, the artist and everything. And there's some music samples. It also enabled me to run around all around town with my upright bass. This black one originally here was the one I started with on my new solo record. And then it's leading into the Omni, which is just amazing. I can shred away with 1, 2, 3, 4 fingering, which you guys of course know is you know, more bass guitar. Of course you can jump into your upright bass fingerings too, and still play with the thumb and all that. So to me, to keep up the bow at all times on the road and in the studio is a big part of life, because if you just have the bass guitar all the time, often the crew has your stuff. You need that stuff with you at all times. So this is going to save my butt. Thanks, Ned, for making this.
Oh, well, thank you for playing it and for making music with it. Obviously, these instruments are useless on their own. So we, you know, seeing the instruments really used to make wonderful music is the greatest satisfaction for me. So
yeah, my shred factor went way up. I'm sorry. Yeah, my shred factor went way up on the Omni because of the fingerings. You know what I mean? It was just a revelation to play like that, you know. So I still love playing on my upright, and they're two totally different tones in a way still. So really enjoy the both of them, you know.
the length of the string is very significant in terms of the tone.
Yes.
They're inherently different and obviously, the shorter 34-inch scale, that's about making it more playable, allowing for a kind of level of expression, also the less tension on the strings. Everything is a little bit just not as difficult as an upright bass is really stretching it as far as you can go.
Sure.
Good.
Yeah.
And of course, traditionally with an acoustic instrument, if you really wanted to get any kind of punch into the bass register, that's how they ended up with those long strings, and they're terrific for an electric instrument. But you can also use shorter strings with an electric instrument, and it's another world of expression, and that's the idea anyway. Again, the Omni bass is about being available for all kinds of different ways of expressing yourself.
Great for traveling too.
I 100% agree with that. Like, especially
the
like
travel
when you talk about,
thing.
like the lower strings too, like the strings moving, being a lot easier to play and touch. It just completely changes the entire name of the game of how you like approach the instrument. You think of it completely differently.
I love that. Do any of you guys two-hand tap on it and venture there?
Yeah.
Is that something? Yeah, I
Not
like
yet.
that a lot too. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a challenge to be so accurate with both hands with the intonation, if you're on the fretless. Does someone have a fretted one
No,
in the group?
fretless.
Everyone's fretless.
Everyone's fretless.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We all want to try the fretted one, Ned, right?
Well, the fretted one is a lot of fun too, because one of the ideas originally for the Omni is that, of course, that you can also bow it, and so it's when I say Omni, it sort of does it all. You can, and the curve of the bridge is very curved, so you can bow it, but then at the nut, it's flat like a electric bass. So connect all the dots together to make something really accessible for people. And so the fretted one is certainly more accessible. Not everyone is prepared to play a fretless instrument. So there's that, but also, of course, the plucked sound or pit sound or whatever you want to call it is a whole different animal. You get all that sustain. It's much more like a bass guitar that you can bow.
Yeah.
Who needs a bass guitar you can bow? I don't know, but it seemed like a fun thing to be able to just offer that. And again, that's the thing about electric instruments that's so different from acoustic instruments, because while there's a charm in an acoustic instrument that's undeniable, that I'm sure we all appreciate, big thing about electric instruments is how versatile they can be, because an acoustic instrument only really sounds one way. If a different person plays it, it's a different sound, but it only responds in one way. But with an electric instrument, especially when you combine it with effects, there's just, the palette is so vastly expanded, and the different opportunities for different kinds of sounds. And that's one of the things I would like to, I'm into developing that as much as possible, so that you, the musician, get to experiment with the different possibilities and select what's working for you for a given tune. Again, the whole thing starts with the string. And really, that's what all these instruments share, is that, whether it's an acoustic instrument, an electric guitar, a bass guitar, or electric upright bass, it's all the string, or violin, or mandolin, or whatever. What you hear all starts with the string, and just getting, allowing all the different aspects of the string vibration to make it accessible to you to work with. Just like different colors on a canvas, that's what I strive to do.
So you hit the nail right on the head, Ned, because that's like, listening to you explain it, I'm like, wow, it's a lot. When I was sitting down doing like an improvise on it and checking out the instrument more, is like, yeah, it's the amazing of like how it just shifts your concept, especially like the string spacing on here too, being a lot closer than a traditional upright, and on the full size NS basses too. So like a big thing for bowing, that I came across immediately was double stops and triple stops were way easier and much more accessible. So it completely changes the way you write sometimes too. All of a sudden start playing a lot more double and triple stops and passing lines instead of it just being like a strict bow melody, which is fun. It makes it really cool.
Yeah, it enhanced my stuff too, Ned. That was the thing. It's like some bassists will say it's cheating, when I just felt like finally I can have the bow with me at all times and do all the things I need to do without worrying about my big heavy electric upright or my big upright bass. And you know how many times I've been on the road and didn't have my instruments? It's insane, right? So sometimes you'll be on the road in another country and someone will say, dude, come over and bring your upright and the bow. And I'm like, I can't do that. It's with the crew. That's always an issue, right? So I'm never playing with the bow. And then I get on stage and sometimes I feel a little cold, you know? So I like having it with me at all times. I'm sure you guys feel the same with the bow. It's a whole other beast, you know?
Whole other world.
Yeah, it's a whole other world. So I like having the strength of having my tools with me. Like if I stay away from the bow and get too hard rock with my hard rock bands, the bow really suffers, you know, and I didn't like that. So this is a big solution for me, you know.
That is working for you.
Yeah, I think it's a big for everybody.
Sorry?
Big solution for everybody. I think so.
Yes. It's a big solution.
Yeah, it's in the middle maybe. Sometimes I have to do acoustic concerts, and you have to adapt the set list to an acoustic set. But I sold my acoustic bass like 8 years ago, and my upright bass, the big one, is in the luthier since 3 years, I think. I always arrange the acoustic set list with this. I go to the stage, set up my Omni bass, and start playing almost with all the freedom I can imagine, because nobody can judge your playing because of the instrument you are bringing, because it's a new one, it's other concept. You can start playing a song thinking you are playing a double bass, but in the middle of the song you are playing it is a fretless bass. And if you imagine suddenly the chorus way more epic, you can bring the bow and do this, and the songs totally change. Just in one song can change if you play, if you think 3 ways differently. Sorry for my English again.
No, it's well put. Well put.
But
yeah,
you got the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's
Jake,
it's like a magical instrument.
About somebody called me to make a show, and they told me bring the double bass. And I remember at that time the bass, it was with my children's school, not with me. And I take this with me when I get there. They told me, what is that? I go, okay, don't look at the instrument, just close your eyes and what I'm going to play. And when I was playing, it was insane for him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That moment I'm using the bass is really my friend for my back, because I use a lot of planes traveling. This is my best friend. All planes, they never complain about the size. They never complain about nothing in this instrument.
That's amazing too. I haven't flown with the Omni yet. Do you suggest maybe wrapping it with bubble wrap or anything like that around the tuners, Ned, or any of you?
Well, I would say certainly adding some bubble wrap around the tuners is not going to hurt. I mean, I'm sorry. There we go. But it shouldn't be necessary, really, if it's going in the overhead compartment, and you wouldn't want it to be in a gig bag and check it, obviously. So that's always the anxiety, right? You go in there and all of a sudden they say, "Oh, you're gonna have to check that, sir."
Oh
right?
my God! Yeah, I heard you get the big one on the planes. I don't know how you get away with it. Do you work it or what?
It fits in the overhead compartment.
It does, really.
It does,
Yeah.
In the gig bag. Yeah.
I'm weary about bringing that thing on. I'm a little more comfortable with this guy.
It
Oh,
also
yeah,
it
sure.
fits in the corner of the clothes closet. Sometimes they'll say, "Okay, we'll stick it in there." You know.
You have to sweet talk him for that.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
be
You
nice
know,
to
you
the
have
flight
to-
crew.
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you have to really
It's definitely
closely.
not like an easy walk up, and you're just like, oh, okay, put it in. Like, no, the whole time you're walking up to the front counter, you're like, it's okay. This, like, if you show the measurements, it fits.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's
Well,
cool.
Back in the day when I was doing the Steinberger basses, I remember once I was meeting a musician, and I wish I could remember his name now, but I met him on the corner in Manhattan on some street corner, and we met, and he looked really unhappy and dejected, and so he said, Ned, I thought you were going to bring the bass, and of course the bass was over my shoulder. And, you never saw it. So it was a certain expectation that the bass is going to be this big beast that you're going to have
Right.
to all around, but it doesn't have to be necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, it so made it easier to do my new solo album stuff running around town. I mean, it was just so much more pleasant to get back and forth, man, you know.
Does anyone use effects with their Omni bass, like, you know, Waugh, distortion, whatever? Yeah,
Big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
I like a little light chorus, and definitely I like to put, I use a lot of bow, so I like to put a nice amount of reverb to kind of emulate the body of the instrument. A little bit more of that kind of like you hit a note and let it sing, that kind of like that little extra ring almost sounds like it's like the ring from the body, at least to me. So that's why I like to kind of add that onto it.
You know, when you play closer to the bridge and you get that kind of harmonic squawky stuff,
Yeah.
and you're playing with overdrive, and it kind of gives you that guitar-like feedback thing, and you have the reverb and delay on. That's really fun.
And an octaver is also interesting. When you play with the higher notes, it gets a lot of body and a lot of punch, and the slides sounds really interesting.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, I would like
cool.
to try an how do you call it, an harmonizer. Harmonizer when you use the bow. Maybe it's interesting an harmonizer because you can get the fifths and the other notes, the chord as if you were a whole section, a string section. Maybe it's interesting. I have the H9, the Eventide, but I didn't try it yet with the harmonizer. But maybe it's interesting.
Yeah, the POG is pretty good. It's pretty fun and cheap enough and accurate if you just want to get those octaves too. If you guys check out, it's called A Pitiful Beauty on the album Rise from the Hollywood Vampires. It's a little bow piece that I did with the black guy here, the full size. And that was really cool. And I'm using some of those effects a little bit on that track. It's called A Pitiful Beauty.
Pitiful Beauty.
Yeah.
Dude, I think it's so awesome that you play the NS uprights with the Hollywood Vampires. Like, that's awesome, man.
I haven't live yet. But that's the whole reason why I have the NS with me now, because I couldn't stand the one bass being with my tech all the time. And the black one's really cool. I mean, I think that on stage is going to look killer, you know. But that's the whole thing. It started where I was like, how can I bow all the time? And so, check that out. A Pitiful Beauty. It's touching on some of those things. Yeah. And the layers of the bow, which is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have one question sorry.
Have you tried to capture, like, I'll have some directional mics actually somewhere around the bow angle to catch the hair sound. Especially for like DI work and stuff like that, because you just miss that acoustic part. As like Ned was saying, there's a quintessential character to acoustic sound, and recording acoustic sound. A lot of things I came through learning was I was missing that bow hair sound. So that became something kind of interesting to like kind of have a mic within the area of where you're going to be bowing to help pick up that sound a little bit, and then kind of mix that into your dry signal. Yeah,
I have used it in some records. They put a Neumann microphone, and sometimes I have tried to fit my DPA microphone. You know the DPA that I used for the violin down here
right on the bridge.
with the guitar adapter.
Oh, okay,
guitar
yeah.
is like you can maybe hear and then start to experimenting with this. But I didn't get nothing interesting yet. But in the studio, I have used a condenser form. The sound of the hair of the bow.
I have a question for Ned.
Sorry?
Yes, Donald.
Yeah.
I have a question for Ned.
Don't make it too hard, please. Something easy.
Is there any like a 6-string version of the on the bass in the works? Any possibility?
Well, that's an interesting question. The answer is the short answer is no. The longer answer is that's pretty intriguing idea and certainly possible. And so we're doing more. We've got a 6-string violin going to be coming out soon. So doing making 6-string instruments, there is a lot of interest in that. So we're taking it a step at a time, but I would hope to get to the Omni bass before too long. I mean, right now is obviously a very odd time, and it's very tough times in terms of supply of instruments. The demand is very high for instruments right now because everybody is looking for a way to express themselves and to make the most of their isolation, and electric instruments, or you could plug it into your computer and record, and lots of amateur activity with that. But on the other hand, factories are shutting down, the supply chain is disrupted, so it's not the easiest time to introduce a new model. It takes a lot of work you have to get everything right, and it's not the end of the world. We can do this, and I think we should do that, but probably not right away.
Okay.
Donald,
I like
let's
that.
add a trans trim. Let's add a trans trim, Donald.
Yeah, exactly.
That would.
I'm ahead of you. No, Chris, I'm way ahead of you on that. It will have a trans trim.
Awesome. I think you're gonna have a market for the trans trim again. Imagine a trans trim upright. Wow.
Well, I made a trans trim bass guitar, and
I loved it.
Yeah, but it practically destroyed me. It was not easy to do. A lot of tension on those strings. A lot of challenges. Whatever.
I had one. I regret getting rid of it because I'd run around New York City as a kid with my heavy metal bands and leave our stuff in the car a lot and stress out so much. And plus I was a teacher and going to school, so leaving the bass in the car became like an issue. And that bass saved my life because I wasn't worried about the neck. I'd leave it in the car and lock it and go into college and do my classes, go out and teach. And it was winter, so it was really good for me. And I would use it and tune it up and stuff. It was cool.
Well, it was a challenging and fun project, and I'm sure glad it worked for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was complicated, I thought, but amazing.
But I mean, and who, it's one of those things. For me, it's a little like, I mean, this is maybe a glorified analogy more so, but I don't mean to glorify it, but it's like, why do you climb Mount Everest? Well, because it's there, right? So why make a bass with a trans trim on it? Because I could, and I thought, wouldn't that be cool? And then most bass players said, no, actually, that's the last thing in the world we want is a tremolo on our bass. Thank God for you, Chris, and others who are more interested in trying something new. But that's the thing. Music is kind of funny that way because it's so driven by tradition. And even nowadays, with pop music or rock and roll, so much is established, what it's supposed to be like. And you guys who are playing bowed electric instruments, you, I think, have or at least there is the reality, I would imagine, and maybe you could tell me if I've got this right, but when you walk into a room with an instrument that's different than what people are used to seeing and hearing, then they don't have a specific idea of what you're supposed to do with it. So you're kind of forced to be original because nobody's ever done it before, and maybe given a little more opportunity where they have their ears a little more open, or their mind a little more open, because they don't have a preconceived notion about what you're supposed to do with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what was beautiful about Eddie Van Halen, right, Ned? I mean, he was always innovating.
Was indeed.
I don't know. For me, this is a dream come true, and I really thank Ned and Corey for just being able to play one of these instruments. I always seen an NS design instrument as a kid, and my dad had a headless bass. Very first bass I've ever seen was a Steinberger.
Really?
Yeah.
That's true. Wow.
So
Your father was a bassist.
right. So it's full circle. So when I got the opportunity to, be a part of the team and be able to play these instruments, I like have to pinch myself and say, wow, I can't believe this is reality, it's pretty awesome.
Well,
No, it's awesome we get to hear you play them, man.
Support.
It's awesome.
So are you set up to play there, Donald?
I can turn my amp on.
Would you, I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like you're kind of ready to roll there, and I'm sure you had the opportunity if you were so inclined.
Yeah, he's been warming up for a half an hour, so I think he's going to be good.
It warms up. Yeah. That's good.
No pressure.
That's good. Hey, good move on the active thing, the eco-active kind of thing. That's pretty cool.
Thank Mikhail Ioffa for that. Great electrical engineer that I'm very fortunate to be working with. Absolutely.
That's cool.
That's all another great story, which we don't have time for all these stories, but we'll do this again, right? That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put a little bit of effects on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome through that. That effect sounds killer on there.
Oh yeah, that's the, what do you call it, the DOD envelope.
But like you really like, it's like you hear the whole like that's.
Oh yeah. Especially on the high notes, because I tuned this E to C so you can really get high on it.
That was my original idea for the instrument, was E to C.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yes. But most people prefer it to B, and it's not for me to say, obviously. So,
Yeah.
And again, if you had 6 strings, you wouldn't have to make that choice, would you?
Yeah.
I prefer low B. Yeah.
Sure.
Are you using same setup like as me, high C note?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish I had a 6-string, because then I wouldn't have to compromise on that low B. Because sometimes you want that low D note or a C or even a B, you know what I mean? But
Double notes when I need the low D. And sounds more different.
Yeah. When you can,
I
when
kind
you-
of second and third everybody on the 6-string comment, just because I start thinking a 6-string with this kind of radius and string, like you could get quadruple stops and like really interesting arco movements across the way and get this like huge chordal pattern. Just like or like that would be like. I got 6 strings would be really cool.
That'd be kind of nuts. Yeah.
Hey, Don, I wish we had talked about this before the meeting. I could have explained, not to bring it up.
Is there what's the scale of the cello and the Omni bass? Is that, it's a little different, of course, right?
It's very, very different. But essentially, the Omni is 34 inches, which is, God bless Leo Fender, this is the standard scale length for bass guitars, and he got it right. I mean, nailed it so, I mean, the guy was obviously fantastic. And so that is the scale length is oriented around that. It is the same as a bass guitar. So you spent your lifetime playing the bass guitar and you want to get into some other things, then, you know, the fingering is identical to a bass guitar. I mean, the spacing is a little different, the curve of the fingerboard, but the actual intervals between the notes are the same. And so with a cello, which is a fabulous instrument, of course, that's more like a 27-inch scale. So it's really quite a bit shorter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, one of the things that's kind of counterintuitive is that, because you think of a bass instrument with having long strings, and we talked about the value of long strings for an acoustic instrument. And of course, if you want that tonality of the longer string, then you need the longer string. But with shorter strings, really, you don't get less bass, you get more bass. And so let's say you take a cello and you tune it down to F or E, you got a wonderful little bass instrument there, and with plenty of bass. You know, maybe it doesn't have the definition that you can get out of an upright, you know, where you really have all those upper harmonics to work with, but still, it's amazing how versatile electric instruments can be in terms of the way they can be tuned.
So what's the scale length for the cello?
27.
27, okay.
27.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. So that's, you know, 34 to 27. That's 7 inches. That's a lot.
That's
a lot smaller. Yeah.
So just what you said there, Ned, about the shorter string making more bass, that was something that I was wondering if it was just in my head when I was playing on this, because I would A/B between the upright, the NS upright, and on this Omni, and I would sit there and I swear to myself, I'm going like, especially on the magnetic pickups, I'm like, there's more oomph.
Bass, more bass.
Yeah, there's more bass. There's more of like this low end.
You know what it really is, though. I mean, there's less higher harmonics. That's the main thing, because a fat string, you know, large diameter string, has a very hard time ringing at high frequency. So, and that's why, you know, if you have an acoustic instrument and you have a short string and you're trying to project the sound, and you don't have those upper harmonics, nobody's going to know what you're playing, because you just don't have that kind of level of volume, you know, to be heard just in the lower bass register. So you need that more. With electric instrument, volume is just not an issue. So it's all about the harmonic content, and these shorter scale instruments have less higher harmonics. That's what you lose when you go to a shorter scale. That can be a benefit. You know, it gives you that warm, sweet tone. I'm not, you know, I don't have a value judgment on it.
That growl.
I know about how it gets created or what you can do with the different geometry or whatever. Again, that's my role to figure that stuff out, so you guys can exploit it and make great music.
That's awesome. I love it. Like that growl, especially like, the growl on the Omni bass on the low string is just out of this world. Like, just from like, it just lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts.
Yeah. The growl is one of the first things I noticed, was that kind of singy, growly thing.
The thing that I love of playing the B string is the way I feel how the ground shakes.
Yeah.
I can feel it. Boom.
Wait, you have a 5-string, right?
Yeah, 5 strings.
And you have the low B. Oh yeah, like I remember at NAMM playing the 5 strings with the low B tuning.
It's
playing
amazing.
a low C.
Yeah, but because I have this, you know, the sound goes right here from the floor, and it's amazing.
Yeah, the low, like a low.
My neighborhoods loves this instrument because of that. My neighbors.
I bet they do.
Even unplug it.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
You can feel it.
case, I use more the mid-range because I'm playing. As you can see, this is my setup here on the cue with more mids. You know,
Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
you playing Latin music and you are dealing with congas and all the percussion sets. It's easy to play like that, and the sound it doesn't mix it. You got the exactly the boom, boom,
Which frequency?
medias, the mids.
But which frequency of in the mids do you?
I have no number. I'm
Ah,
not
okay.
frequencies numbers, but
Oh, here.
it's one note by one. I like to play one by one, exactly how it sounds. You know, can you hear well the bass?
Yeah.
Very.
One by one.
What kind of strings are you using?
No, the original ones.
Oh, okay. It's the tone of that instrument is different. Well, I guess everybody has their own tone.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah.
The trick that I'm using here with the EQ and everything, I don't put so much bass because maybe can confuse, and it's more clean for me, like that configuration.
Yeah, I would say I would add that happens in heavy rock or heavy metal too, where you know how the drums are very skewed, like a smiley face or a bird, and then you kind of do the same thing with the bass, and you're cutting out all those mids, and suddenly you get lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the mids help tremendously. So if you're playing with all those drums, I can understand how the mids help a lot, and they do in a lot of heavy music too. You know,
Sure.
I think when I draw a bow with a distorted guitar, you know what I mean? It's kind of a different universe. And I'm playing in some of the hard rock where like, where do I find my space? And it's often the mid range, especially the drummer hitting those big, you know, kits and stuff. So it's like, you got to find your special little spot, and it's the same heavy metal or maybe in every music really.
Can somebody
Yeah.
play a bowed example on their Omni bass?
A bowed example here.
Yeah, anyone.
Chances all set up here.
I think I got.
Oh,
I'm not set up
See if I
yet.
can.
There he goes.
I was gonna say, like, I admit I'm a big abuser of mid range too. I have a lot of my mids up. Let me see if I get this coming through. Let me know if it's too hot coming on. Like all these cross the whole. Oop, hitting my bow on my desk. Like from
Yeah,
all,
nice.
and then it's just got that really, to me, like these. And I'm on this one. I got the Ghs Crossover Strings. So they've got that when it bounces back to magnetic. These really have a nice, just like a big,
Wow, you just
thick sound. And then, but over on the bow, it's almost like it has a nice cello-ish. And it's fast, like it's really click. Like I can hear the parts, and kind of like because the strings are so close together. Like these are like that kind of arpeggio pattern. That's why like the sixth would be kind of cool. Like all of a sudden, like where can you get? There's. And it just goes on up and up, but it's just like I love the instrument that way, and it doesn't have too much of a hiss, but just enough that you can tell like there's like a nice arco sound.
what type of bow do you recommend? Because I'm just getting into this bow thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I play a German bow, is my style. So when it comes to like the two main types of bows, French and German, it's all personal preference. And that's just, this happened to be something I started with. So the German grip is like this with the frog, and then of course on the French bow the frog is shaped much differently, but that traditional grip would become more like that. The two biggest differences I can say right away is with the German grip, because you have the weight of your arm and the way that this comes down, just naturally more power, so you can get more volume. you sacrifice a little agility for that. Whereas now the French bow is the opposite. It has a little more agility, but not as much volume. And that's just the natural part. And then, of course, you can move around the way you want. So I would recommend testing out different bows to feel which one is the right feel for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the French bow.
Bows get out like, oh man. And when we're playing with a bow, this is actually 70% responsible for your tone. This is more important for your tone than the instrument actually itself. Is the way the bow, the type of wood, how it's cut, and it's just the way, because it's constantly vibrating the string. So this is what's responsible for your tone quality, the majority of it.
I had a question about bows. You know, I've always kind of struggled back and forth with what I like better, the French or the German. I've always stuck with German. I think maybe because I was playing, it just felt like a little more the muscle part of it. But how long, and this is for all you guys, I don't exactly know, but how long can you get with a bow with a light material? Because I just had this cool idea of like strutting out to the stage with a really long bow, like a cane. And Alice Cooper and I were talking, traveling to a gig together about vampire stuff and theatrics. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a bow cane? But how long does it get to the point where, you know, the thing's not going to work? You'd have to have a real special material.
That is already so like it's funny with bass bows as being like, you know, the instrument with the longest string length and the biggest. Our bows are the shortest of the violin family and viola family. Like violinists, their bows are about that much longer. Right. So it's like doesn't even fit in the screen. So you can get them pretty long, and then it just becomes like the way of the wood. So that would be, you could probably get it as much as you want. You just have to get it custom made, and then also like is it going to sound the way you want? Maybe in that go for a carbon fiber. That way, because it's really long, you don't have to worry about a case snapping on it or something like that and it breaking.
Yeah, and you get these super long notes.
Yeah, oh yeah, you don't have to worry about the turnaround, which was always like that kind of funny thing where it's like that gap between the frog and your hand. So when you go from this way, you start pushing this way, the bow is still going backwards while your hand's moving forward, so that you can play a continuous note without hearing the actual bow stop. So by the time the bow hits there, you've already have the traction going the other way. But yeah, with a really long bow, you don't have to worry about that. Coda makes carbon fiber.
If the bass is on a stand, then you can, walk.
Yeah.
You can just kind of go down the stage left and come back.
That's what I was picturing.
That would be cool. I'm like that's stage showmanship right there. Just like
Chris,
pretty good.
Chris, you should just get a long handle that you can remove from your bow to make it into a cane with, a dragon or a owl or a skull on it or something. So.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Kind of just a way to take it off, an attachment. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's pretty smart.
That would be easiest.
That'd be fun. Well, there's a lot of theatrics in playing upright bass,
Oh yeah,
of course. Jake, we haven't heard from you. What's going on in your world?
Oh, just working hard. Thank you again for having me. It's been so fun to listen and get to see everybody.
How old were you when I met you?
Oh, probably maybe 11 or 12, if not younger. So it's been a while. It's been awesome though, and I think this year, I know with COVID, everybody's. I really think it's really cool to see how everybody's talking about like the lemons to lemonade, and how all these musicians, we all have this thing in common where when you have passion for music, like we all do, and how whatever situation you're put in or whatever happens, you make the best of it and you keep doing what you're designed to do. I think that's been really cool to see everybody and how that's going. But for my Omni this year with COVID, doing a lot of production work, and I'm working with some artists here in the States and then also some internationally. Also released a song last May and had 2 Grammy nominations on it. So
congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Congrats. Yeah.
And it came from the studio here with the jellyfish in the background. I know y'all probably thinking so we got to keep it chill right here, But so, I mean, that's all been, it's been great. And then also it's given me a lot of time to experiment with effects, like, you know, everybody's talked about, and learning how to take the Omni and also the Radius I have over here. I don't know if you can see it, but I have 5-string, and putting that into electronic, EDM, pop, all that kind of modern type of music. And it's really cool because the tonal quality of the Omni works really well with kick drums and tuning it. And I love the control of it and being able to, I can either dial the tone. Most of the time, if I have a kick that's set, I'll dial the tone of the bass to figure out how they're going to work together, right? Because you're wanting to work together. That's the foundation for a song. But just a lot of diversity and control and just being able to dial in the tone just right. And it's been a lot of fun to work with and put on songs.
Oh, man. Great.
What kind of one do you have there?
I have a Burl Finish 4-string.
There you go. Nice.
And it has been a lot of shows and traveling a lot. And it's so easy to take around, and I can take it in the hotel room if I got my amp with me, just, you know, warm up and stuff. So it's been really nice. And you put it on the shoulder and just going in there, that's so much nicer than that big old, upright. So it's been a blessing.
That's awesome. Oh, Corey, you're muted.
I know. Sorry about that. Well, it's been wonderful. If anyone has any questions for each other, or we can cut it a little short if we need to. But it's been wonderful getting you all together, especially internationally with Spain and Canada representing here. This is fantastic.
That's right, Donald. You're from Canada, right?
Originally from Jamaica, but yes.
So you're living up there now. Which part you living in?
I live in the country. I live out in Strathroy. It's a tiny little town.
Okay. Actually, kind of sounds a little familiar. I'm from British Columbia.
Ah.
Yeah. Tiny town as well. 2,700 person town almost, like really small.
Wow. Tinier than mine.
That's our kind of town.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I think Chance and I, we're suffering here in Los Angeles today with like 83-degree weather or something like that, right?
It's actually nice and sunny out. It's
terrible. We have this horrible weather here. You know, we got to deal with it and everything.
Yeah.
Don't have to put chains on our tires, you know. Oh God, like I miss doing that.
Yeah. I grew up in New York, so I had plenty of the snow and stuff like that. That's another thing too. You guys are you guys adjusting your truss rods much or anything like that for when you travel?
Well, that's I find my action is a little high at the moment, but honestly, when it comes to the winter and the summer adjustment, I just leave it, especially when it comes to the upright, because I just look at it as this is going to be my summer tone and this is going to be my winter tone.
That's gotcha. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, it's real nice to meet all you guys today, man. Thanks for all this.
Thank you very much, everybody, and really thanks for making the time for this.
Before we wrap it up, if you don't mind, as we have a couple of minutes here, anybody have any fantasy about basses that they'd like to share? You know, what you might like to imagine, or some new direction or something like that. I'm just very curious, to hear from you guys. Go ahead. I think Chance raised his hand first, so we'll do that first.
I was like, it's immediately already on top of the what we're talking about. Like I've just been kind of thinking more about that 6, but particularly about for the Omni, is I've just been really wondering about, because it's so playable and with all the extra stuff, is like an extended fingerboard.
Okay.
Up to
like the angular one.
Maybe with a cutaway, but like a full three octaves.
That's what you're talking about.
Right? Yeah, with a little bit like a full 3 octaves onto the G string, but like a kind of like a cutaway, so you wouldn't be a full 3 octaves all the way down there, but at least to the G string, so that way it can kind of have that. That's always, I just always like that about particular uprights that have a nice cutaway fingerboard and an extended fingerboard, and especially the Omni with how playable it is to play up that high and then be able to play like double stops up that high. It would be just really nice to have, instead of doing like, the Italian fingering where you take and push to the side and become the fingerboard, just actually have the string on wood sound. So that's, I'm like,
what I like about that suggestion, and
it's a good idea.
Is that is pretty easy to do. So I like that one.
All right.
There's so many suggestions, you know, are great ideas, but maybe are technically problematic or whatever, but we can add to the fingerboard. Like, that's not a big deal. Really
Oh,
is.
awesome.
So we could work on that.
Now, Ned,
Yeah.
is there a possibility? And I have to ask the question. If I don't ask these questions, it may not happen. Okay, so far you've launched the CR6, right? Is there a Wave 6 in the works?
Oh, wait. Okay.
Oh, you go 6-7.
But you wanted a 7 now. I figured. So, well, that's a good question. And we haven't, we took a little bit of a break on making the Wave bass guitars. We weren't, for a variety of reasons, but we're getting that going again. And we certainly can make a 6-string. It's, I would love to do that, frankly. That's a great, and so we have now, and we've got the 6-string working for us. You know, we have all the design nailed down and everything, so it's not that hard to transfer it over to the Wave. But we'll be getting the 4 and 5 strings back in action first, and then we'll tag on the 6-string to that.
Yeah.
Hey!
And what about multi-scale basses?
That which? Sorry.
Multi-scale. You know that
Multi-scale.
multi-scale. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, that's fine. I please, your English is great. You keep apologizing for it. It just makes me embarrassed because, you know, my Spanish is doesn't. Okay, so, and I have done some experimental work with multi-scale, and I think there's a lot to be said for it.
Yeah.
And I hope someday, actually, I've done a lot of work in that area, but I don't have anything really ready to go. But it's a multi-scale is what I call fan frets. That's part of, you know, it's just the same exact thing. It certainly makes a lot of sense from a, you know, we talked about string length, and so now you have longer strings for the low strings and shorter strings for the high strings. There's a definite logic there. And, you know, the playability aspect of it, you know, people talk about how it's easier to play as well, which is not so cut and dried for me as, you know, whether it really is easier to play or not. But certainly there's a lot of good reason to make fan fret instruments or multi-scale, and I'm excited about some of the things that might be coming up in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Me too.
How possible is to do like a resistant stand for the instrument more lightweight?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have a more lightweight stand already. And so you have a CR stand, because that's a CR instrument you have there, right? So the stand for the NXT and for the Wave double basses is a lighter weight stand, and it's not as durable. Okay, it's a lower cost stand also, but the stiffness to weight ratio is good. That is to say, it really works well, and it's lighter weight. And if weight is an issue, that's an option for you, and they're pretty affordable too. So
he's going to talk to me.
Yeah.
Talk to Corey, exactly.
Right. Well, thank you all.
We can set you up with that for sure. We can work on that for you. Okay.
Thank you all so much, and especially Donald from way up in Canada, Danielle all the way from Spain, Chris and Chance all the way from sunny California, Jake and Yorgis, I know you're down in Florida. Thank you so much. What a great group of folks, and we really appreciate your support, and what a great conversation we've had today. So Thank you much. And you take care of yourselves and have a safe and healthy year.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
As well, guys.
Corey, thank you all. Really great to be here with you, and we'll